You're here on V180. That was Abby Robinson, Like I Do. My name is Leah. We got Grace here.
You!
Now, Grace, one thing I've noticed in, just the last couple of weeks, I might be a bit late to the party.
Yes.
But I've been looking up, recently, was brought to my attention, of a social media trend that's going on at the moment. Like the fake podcast trend.
Yes.
And I don't know. I don't know how late I am to this.
Yeah,
I don't know how I've only just found out about it.
Yeah.
I feel like my life is a lie.
I know. People, okay, maybe explain it for us. What's happening?
So this is a trend mostly seen on like TikTok or like Reels on Instagram kind of thing. Pretty much there are people.
Yeah.
And they have the whole setup of a usual podcast. You know, they're sitting, however they're sitting, they've got the mic, they've got a camera on them, and they're just sort of positioned off to the side to make it look like that they're talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Except more often than not, the microphone isn't plugged in and they're not actually talking to anybody.
Right.
They've just completely faked this whole scenario.
Set up. Yeah, yeah.
And I can't understand why they're doing it. But it's like instead of recording hours of an actual podcast, they're recording like a minute of them just talking about whatever they want to talk about and then chopping it to make it look like it's a clip from a larger show.
There you go. You've just answered it. You've answered it. But it takes super long to record a podcast that's hours long, and then it takes even longer. I know because this is my job to draw the content from it. Like you have to watch the entire thing.
Yeah.
And it's easy just to sit down for maybe 5 minutes, record yourself a couple of times, clip it together and call it a day rather than actually investing in an actual long form podcast.
I don't understand it. I do in a sense because but it's, I don't know. Look, we're going to talk more about it. We're going to keep this conversation going. Let's get back into this. Go back to the music and we'll keep this conversation happening in just a little while. You're on V180. So, Sina, Something Beautiful here on V180. You're with Leah and Grace, joining you for your Tuesday. And today we are talking about the, what would you even
fake podcast.
Fake
you
podcast.
Liars.
Fake podcast, yes. The fake podcast trend that has been sweeping TikTok, Instagram. I don't quite understand why it's happening because a lot of work goes into making podcasts, but I can only imagine it would actually take just as much work, to create a fake one.
No, I would actually disagree because really? I would do short form content and then I do long form content. It's more work per clip, but you're only investing, say, maybe half an hour as compared to even longer hours, depending on how fast you're editing and how many clips you want from the podcast. So it does end up being better time-wise,
I guess,
to sit down for 5 minutes, pop off your stuff, and then just quickly edit it. It does have a better... It is quicker.
Yeah.
But obviously you look like a doofus if you get caught.
Of course. But then that sort of brings me then to the next part is, yes, it may be more time savvy, perhaps, but B, I still don't understand why.
Yeah.
And is it biblically wrong?
Yeah.
Because it's still deception. Yeah. And, it's like just because you can get away with it, does that mean that you should?
No, of course not. This is the thing. So there was one guy who kind of had a similar setup to like the Joe Rogan podcast. It almost looked like he'd been interviewed by Joe Rogan.
He faked the Joe Rogan podcast?
Yeah. He faked that setup. Like it's just like the red curtain in the background. Like it's a real simple kind of setup.
It's not,
To be fair, if I did see that scrolling past, I would instantly go, he's on the Joe Rogan podcast. He must be authoritative. I'm going to listen to him. Or at least whatever thing he's talking about is probably going to be in the social media trends, so I should listen in. So it does bring this air of authority that when you do fake it, it does look like it. But obviously.
Then when push comes to shove, if you think you see that and you go, oh, that's on the Joe Rogan podcast or whatever, you go to find it, it's not there.
No, I know. It looks even more sus.
I guess then you have to come back to how much do I care about people finding out my lies?
My lies.
True. How much shame do I have? Evidently not a lot, I guess, if you're going to be doing that. But
and he could argue this whole cluelessness thing, like, oh, I didn't think it would look like that, or like, I had no idea, da, da, da. And like, it is in a sense a safeguard, but like at the same time, if you're smart, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing's wrong.
Yeah.
Deceptive.
100%. And I don't know why it bothers me so much.
You like feel this like vehemently deep in your soul.
Because it's deception. And I guess like everything in social media today, so much can be faked.
Yeah.
And, you know, and like everybody has a platform to do whatever they want to do, say whatever they want to say within reason.
Yeah.
But it's just like intentionally, it just feels it's like very narcissistic.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, you're setting up this whole setup to make yourself look more important than you are.
Yeah.
Well,
it's damaging to a long-term brand as well.
It is, because you've now lost all credibility because you've had to fake being on a podcast.
I know.
So moral of the story, don't fake being on a podcast, guys.
It's unbiblical. It's lying. Don't do it for our Lord.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't do it. You're on V180.
Vision 180.
Live different.
Different.